And what I thought particularly stood out and has been ignored by liberal media is that in a decoded section of his manifesto, he talked about the distress he had at regretting the realization that there is no magic wand or medicine or technology that exists that can make him be a real girl, which is what he wanted. And therefore, he moved on with this decision of what appears to be death before detransition.
After the Minneapolis shooting, the Democrats did two very predictable things. First of which is the obvious gun grab, and the second of which is the complete denial of the mental illness present in the perpetrator. And this is exactly what is being discussed by Greg Gutfeld over here on The Five. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
MSNBC's Jen Psaki using the shooting to attack Trump's D.C. crackdown. And she tweeted this: when kids are getting shot in their pews at a Catholic school mass and your crime plan is to have National Guard put mulch down around D.C., maybe rethink your strategy. Psaki was joined by other Democrats who the media who think that prayer in a moment like this is useless.
Like clockwork, half the politicians in our country have little more to offer than thoughts and prayers. That is all they are offering.
Thoughts and prayers just aren't enough here right now, because these kids were actually praying.
At the end of the day, thoughts and prayers have led us to having more of these deaths, more of these shootings.
Keep us in your thoughts and prayers, but also keep us in the thoughts for action.
Okay, Greg, I'm going to go to you because when this all was happening, I thought, wow, okay, this feels like something Greg either predicted or could have told you was going to happen again.
Yes. This is why none of these a-holes can lecture anyone on compassion. The most compassionate people on this planet are trying to stop the trans delusion. The least compassionate are the people in the media, academia, and politicians who enabled this hysteria of horror. What is so glaring about the trans cult? Apparently your identity is the only thing that matters until you do something awful. Then it's the least important variable. Then you look at everything else. You talk about guns, but you suddenly, it's all of a sudden like, oh, we can't talk about that. What was it, the other trans shooter that they actually hid her identity? In this manifesto that this creep wrote, he said he was tired of being trans and that he had wished he had never brainwashed himself. What more do you need straight from the monster's mouth? Politicians, activists, teachers, you built this. You could have listened to the warnings. We were talking about this on this show for years. You amplified a hysterical, literally hysterical phenomenon that was going no place good. You created a poisonous program that twisted young minds for destruction, a nihilistic place to be when you deny biology and they have nowhere to go. So all of these media arguments, what you're seeing there among those people, it's to escape their own culpability in the reality that they created. So forget the layer of mental illness and gun control. The origin of the evil lies in the creation of a mindset that indulged a delusional self, ruining connections with fellow human beings. So that trans, by ascribing extreme aggrieved mentality, then gets directed against society, so this person feels justified in killing children. His killing resulted from that ideology. And if you don't believe that, you're one dumb asshole.
This actually falls directly into the wheelhouse of where President Trump wants to be. When Big Balls was attacked a few weeks ago, he didn't say thoughts and prayers. He said, I'm sending in the National Guard. The National Guard for this is to make sure that you cannot buy a gun if you are someone like this in a pawn shop and do it legally. It gets rid of the boyfriend loophole. It makes sure that you can't go to gun shows. It brings back the assault weapons ban that did a tremendous amount of good and saved lives in this country, only to see those numbers spike back up when it was sunsetted in 2004. Those are the relevant issues to this. It's easy to get guns, and that this person is a maniac who should have never been allowed out on the streets.
Could I have you just comment, though, on also the Democrats rallying around this idea that prayers were not good enough?
Listen, I think that the point that they were trying to make was, A, that these children were in the midst of praying. This wasn't about a community that didn't feel like prayer mattered. I think their point is, and my point would be as well, that you pray and you think for people, and it is important to acknowledge the pain and suffering that folks are going through, but you also take decisive action. And the action here is to make sure that this shooter did not have those guns that they obtained, in their own words, shockingly easily.
Yeah, it'd be easy to make sure they didn't have those guns if you treated transgender identity problems as mental health problems, which is exactly what it is. I'm sorry. You want me to prove I'm not evil to own a gun, but I'm a bigot because I want you to prove you're not crazy because you want to change your identity. Those two things don't line up for you. I don't get that. 5%, 20 million AR style guns in this country. 20 million of 400 million guns in this country. Only 4% of guns used in homicide are rifles, and that's a much bigger category than AR. So what you're saying is you want me to ban 5% of the guns in this country that are used in 4% of the homicides, and that's going to save our kids. No. If you want to take a flip side of this, you said that the National Guard for these incidents is gun control. How about I tell you this? 183 kids died in Illinois last year on average, so could have been more last year, from gun violence. Why do I bring this up? It's not in some major defense of AR. It's to say that Democrats are absolutely 100% not at all concerned with saving the lives of children. Because if you are, you're going to President Trump right now and saying, God, please bring the National Guard to Chicago.
That, of course, is an excellent point, right? The Democrats are always saying that if it saves one life, then more gun control is worth doing. However, of course, they only pay attention when there's a tragedy such as this, all right? In Chicago, in California, in New York, all of these places where you have hundreds of youths killed every year by guns, right? They don't care about any of that, because if they did, they would be demanding police crackdowns. But instead, of course, they fight for police reform and bail reform, protecting criminals over citizens, right? That's basically the MO of the Democrat Party. But let's go to get back to what Greg Gutfeld was saying, right? We have to stop this trans delusion. The very same people who are out there saying that thoughts and prayers don't do anything are the exact same people who are saying that men should be allowed in women's sports, men should be allowed in women's places. And of course, men can become women in the first place, right? They pushed this trans ideology on America, and if you didn't stand up for it, then you were an awful person. The left set up a system where you had to buy into the delusions of the mentally ill, and in the meantime, they're fanning the flames of all this craziness, saying, hey, they're coming after you, right? They don't think you're actual people, right? They want to get rid of your identities. But the reality, of course, is the exact opposite. We want to actually help people with mental problems, right? We don't want them roaming our streets and causing tragedies like this, okay? But one other point that was brought up was when Greg Gutfeld says, oh, remember the Nashville shooter where they tried to hide the identity, tried to hide the purpose behind it? Well, that was something different under Joe Biden, right? Now we have Kash Patel, and it's funny how all of the information came out very quickly. It was released to the public. We knew this person's identity. We knew this person's name. We know about the manifesto. It was all uncovered and, of course, on display for the American people, as opposed to being hushed up and secreted away by the government, okay? Notice the big difference in transparency. But Jessica Tarlov, of course, they're asking for more action, which, of course, is a good idea, but the Democrats are not going to like the actions that would come about, because it would expose the clear and evident mental illness of the trans community, right? That's the action that would have to be taken. And that was a great point brought up by Joey Jones, who says that, yes, AR-15s are 5% of the guns in America, and they only make up 4% of the guns used in shooting. And so by getting rid of them, it's not going to stop this problem whatsoever. All right. We have one solution, and we all know exactly what that has to be. And that, of course, is actually helping people with mental illness, as opposed to buying into those obvious and clear delusions. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me. Really good news. There's a Labor Day sale going on at my online t-shirt store. So if you've been waiting to buy something, go ahead and check out these wonderful designs about patriotism and America. And you can also support the channel at the same time. So enjoy yourselves and find something you like today. And don't forget, all of these designs are 100% mother approved.